with Triestino Mariniello. He's a professor of law at Liverpool John Moores University. He's also a member of the legal team representing Gaza victims before the International Criminal Court. He's joining us from Liverpool in the UK. Professor, it's good to have you on the program, especially on a day that is as historic as the one that we saw at the ICJ. You tweeted after the decision that a strong decision that will be very persuasive, also in relation to the judgment on the merits of the case. Even the Israeli ad hoc judge voted for some measure. Just talk us through that statement.
Well, first of all, many thanks for having me this afternoon. It's a historic decision and a striking decision because for a number of reasons. First of all, almost unanimity, as you just mentioned. Most of the measures were adopted with just one dissenting judge, the Ugandan judge at the ICJ. But it's historic because for the first time ever, an international tribunal establishes accountability for Israel in relation to serious violation of international law, probably the most serious violation of international law, which are violations of the Genocide Convention. I strongly believe that this decision will have a number of effects in the short and long term, and will also trigger a number of criminal proceedings in several states, including in the US, where today will be discussed a case for genocide against Blinken, Austin, and Biden, but also in the long term in relation to the relationship of Israel with third states. But in particular, it's a strong decision because all the arguments submitted by the South Africa in relation to all the elements of genocide, acts and special intent, so the intent to destroy a protected group, Palestinians in this case, have been satisfied, and all the claims submitted by Israel have been rejected by the International Court of Justice.
Prof, I'd just like for you to explain this to us. What we heard today, the speak was, of course, a lot of legalese, and I'm just trying to break it down for ordinary people to understand. Would you be seeing this as more as a win for South Africa or for Israel? Because the court spoke about Israel doing everything it can to prevent a genocide in Gaza. Legally speaking, does that mean the court at the moment doesn't believe a genocide is taking place?
No, the court at this stage, this is not a case into the merits yet, which means it's not called to a definitive assessment on whether genocide has been committed. The threshold in an urgent procedure like this one is whether the commission of genocide is plausible or not. And the ICJ has taken a clear position of this, with almost all the judges supporting this decision, that there is a plausible case that Israel has committed or is committing genocide against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. All the arguments in this regard submitted by Israel, as I said before, have been rejected, including the fact that Israel will be adopting some measures to reduce casualties, precautions in relation to the ongoing hostilities in the Gaza Strip, but also the attempt by the Israeli legal team to underestimate, overlook the statements by political and military leaders have been rejected by the Israeli Court of Justice. The presiding judge today was mentioning some of these statements by very senior political leaders, including the Minister of Defense Gallant and the Israeli president, and clearly linking these statements to a genocidal intent, which is generally the most difficult element to prove. Israeli authorities are well aware that this is a strong defeat that will have a very strong repercussions. For this reason, they've already announced that they are not going to comply with the orders imposed by the ICJ.
Professor, just finally, what do the rulings on the provisional measures mean for other states going forward?
So every third state here, so every state ratifying the Genocide Convention here has a legal obligation, not a political discretion, to implement the measures issued by Israel. I've heard that there will be some disappointment because there is no specific mention to ceasefire. But reading it carefully, we can see that the measures imposed by the International Court of Justice, which includes immediately to stop all acts falling within the definition of genocide, including killings, causing serious bodily and mental harm should be stopped by Israel. So this is possible only with a total ceasefire at the moment. In other words, these measures can be complied only if there is a ceasefire. Every state, as I was mentioning, has a legal obligation, but also international organizations, including the Security Council, which predictably will meet soon to discuss how to implement the order by the International Court of Justice.
Professor Mariniello in Liverpool, really appreciate your analysis. Thank you very much.